everybody. Welcome back to the North Central Washington MVP interview series brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. I'm Carrie Horning, your host, Career Connected Learning Specialist with the NCESD 171. Today's episode highlights Sabey Data Centers as yet another one of our Career Connected Learning most valuable partners. Our goal is simple: to introduce our community partners throughout North Central Washington to one another, and a win today looks like each of you leaving with a greater understanding of the work being done all around you. So grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nourishment. Today's guest is Ryan Bebout. He is the Vice President of the Western Region Data Centers for Sabey Data Centers. I know Ryan to be one of the most chill, generous, and involved partners I work with. Without a doubt, he always has a smile when I show up on campus, and I love that. It always makes us feel so welcome. But he and Sabey really are ideal partners. They have never balked at the work that we bring with us every time we reach out. And in fact, I think, to be totally honest, I've never heard Ryan say no to anything that we've brought to the table, and we'll get into it in the interview. Ryan and Sabey do the light lifts, and they're definitely involved and all in on the heavy lifts too. So I can't wait to share that with you. But Ryan served in the Navy for 6 years. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. He's married with 3 kiddos. He enjoys cycling and hiking in his free time. And I share that appreciation with him. We actually talked a little bit about the hiking, and I shared Kolchak, which is one of my favorites, and he was able to take some of his family up on that hike when they were in town visiting. So that's always a crowd pleaser, especially midweek when it's not so crowded. So glad you got to do that. But anyways, Ryan, welcome in. Thank you for being a Career Connected Learning MVP. Are you ready to kick this off?
Ready.
All right, excellent. I want to make sure that I say as well, anybody in the crowd, feel free to just pop off your mic and ask a question or put it in chat if there's anything that you have for us. So, okay, so first question, Ryan. Sabey is a privately owned business. And really, that is an anomaly in this day and age for a company of its size. So tell us more about Sabey. What's going on inside those big, giant cement buildings?
Well, first of all, thanks for that introduction, Carrie. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
Good.
Yeah, Sabey is a pretty big company. We are nationwide. We've got a footprint all the coast, both coasts, and the state of Texas as well. So we have 6 data center campuses across the country. We are privately owned. Most of our competition are publicly held companies. We're probably the biggest privately owned data center company in the U.S., or one of the biggest, certainly. The company was founded by Mr. Dave Sabey 50 years ago, 1972 or 1971. He grew up in Burien, just a stone's throw away from where our corporate headquarters is located today in Tukwila, just south of Seattle. He went to UW and played football, wanted to be a history teacher, a high school history teacher. Ended up getting into construction, and then real estate development. Through the 80s, he was Boeing's largest landlord. Sabey was Boeing's largest landlord. And then started getting into more technology stuff, data centers, and then in the 90s, when the .com bubble was blowing up, really started building big data centers for internet companies. And then late 90s, 2000s, when the .com bubble burst, some of Sabey's customers went bankrupt, and they had a bunch of data center assets on their hands, and he thought, well, Dave and his son John thought, well, it looks bad now, but we don't think this internet thing's going away. So we're in the data center business now, and here we are, 23 years later, with data centers all over the country. So
I love that story because I mean, as much as we talk to our students about, career pathways, it's just not a straight line for anyone. And I think oftentimes, especially our high school seniors think that, and instead, it's really this jungle gym. So to hear this journey for Sabi and how it came about, I mean, that's really how it goes for all of us, I think.
So, yeah, certainly for me. I mean, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when
Mm.
I was in high school, and I ended up joining the Navy. I had good math scores, right? So I got into the Navy nuclear power program and did that for 6 years, and didn't want to travel anymore. Wanted to stay in the Seattle area, Washington State, and settle down. So I got out, and the skill set that I had developed in the Navy translated really well to data centers. Even though when I got out of the Navy, I didn't really even know what a data center was. Um, but that was 12, almost 13 years ago, and I'm still with Sabey for that long, because it's just been a great company to work for, a
Yeah.
company that gives you lots of opportunity.
Yeah,
So
for sure. It says a lot about it. So
yeah.
now that we know kind of what Sadie, how they started, what that's, all about, what is going on inside of there? What's happening in there in those big buildings?
And data centers.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they're just big buildings with a bunch of computers running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So data centers, I mean, the cool thing about data centers is that a lot of people don't know is that everyone uses them all the time. I mean, whether you know it or not, virtually every industry and every consumer uses data centers all the time. So anytime you connect to an app on your phone, anytime you use your phone at all, if your phone is not in airplane mode, you're using a data center, right?
Very cool. So give us
There-
an example of that. If say I crack open, one of my apps for all trails. I want to find a hike. How am I using the data center?
Well, so AllTrails has databases, and it has probably ways to connect you with other information, other people. Maybe it's storing your, I don't use that app personally. That maybe you need to introduce me to it, but it maybe, it's like the fitness trackers and stuff that store your information. That's all stored on the cloud. It's
Okay.
all stored in data centers, right?
Okay.
Same with your photos that are stored on the cloud. You can open them up on any device. You log in with your credentials and you have access to everything. That's all stored in data centers, right? Or text messages. Um, anytime you connect to the internet, right? Any app that's connecting to the internet, surfing the web, all those everything is just served out of data centers.
Well, and I
Um,
know we've talked about this before because I've been in for multiple tours, and I love it. It's so coming into your data center it's amazing. I wish my house was that clean. But I know you can't talk about specific customers, but can you talk about more of the industries? We've kind of talked about the apps, and we're using our phone, but how does that spread across industries?
Sure. Well, like I said, virtually every industry uses data centers.
Okay.
Uh, for our Washington State data centers, or I guess I could speak specifically to our Central Washington data centers. We have a big variety of customers. We really don't have much in the way of internet. I mean, even though the entire internet runs in data centers,
Yeah.
all the social media companies, right? Streaming services, your TV, everything, right? That all runs in data centers. We don't host a whole lot of that stuff. In fact, uh, um, we don't have any social media companies. We have a lot of uh, healthcare
Mhm.
companies, a lot of banks and credit unions. Um, we have cloud services. We have airlines. We have movie production studios. So, it's when you make a CGI movie, it's computationally intensive. Takes a lot of number crunching to make CGI. And so we have customers that do that in our data centers. And uh, AI now. AI is in the spotlight right now,
For sure.
and for good reason. And AI runs in data centers.
that's where I really felt like during one of our tours, I really felt this connection because our oldest daughter was a patient at Seattle Children's Hospital for a long time. So then to hear that data from healthcare, lives in your facility, it just brings this entirely new appreciation for what you do. I live in the area, I live in the basin, so I see, the different data centers. I see Sabi as I drive by, and I think that like, I wonder what's going on in there. But then the appreciation that any doctor can look up her records and see what her needs are, what her history is, and it's all being stored and protected there. That to me, that's important, and to me, that was a big connection.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the work that you do there.
The
Thank you.
yeah, the hospital is a good example, right? And it's certainly, it is true that the healthcare records are stored in data centers, and that's a good thing. That makes data information, useful information, more easily accessible to the healthcare provider and to the patient, right? And now, we do a lot of, I mean, maybe you're not seeing your doctor online anymore like we were in COVID, maybe you still are. That's all done in data centers, right? This Zoom call is being hosted in a data center. But just communicating with with your doctors over their portal, right? Like your your health system might have a portal where you get in and you talk to your doctor over that, send messages and stuff. That's all done in data centers. And then all of the productivity tools that not just a hospital uses, but any office uses, all of your work productivity tools, that's all run in data centers. And then another thing is research, like medical research, right? I mean, a lot of medical research is done with supercomputers and takes a lot of computation, and then just the tools that they use to do this research. So a lot of important medical research is done in data centers as well.
Yeah, thank you for this explanation. I think for all of our listeners, and for myself included, it really brings it home. What is going on in there, and truly the importance of it. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so next question is, now that we know a little bit more about these services and what Sabi's providing, what does it look like to work in the data center? Like, what skills make a good data center technician?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, we have great success hiring local. It's very rare that we have to hire someone from out of the region. I can't even tell you the last time that happened. The vast majority of jobs in the data center do not require a 4-year bachelor's degree. And so for our entry level positions, we're looking for someone who has some college, community college, a certificate, uh, or a trade school, right? Or has relevant experience. And we're looking for people. So I'll start, I guess, by saying that working in a data center is a critical environment. It's what's called mission critical. So our customers depend very, very heavily on their data centers. And if they take their data centers reliability for granted, then we've done our jobs, right? We have to keep the power on and the cooling, right? Data centers generate heat. We have to provide the physical security, and 24/7, 365 without fail. So it's what's called a mission critical environment. And so you have to have some amount of attention to detail and be okay with following procedures. And you really have to be a team player, because there's not a whole lot of big things that you do alone. You're almost always with another person or a couple other people. And there's a lot of planning that we have to do as well, and a lot of trust. There has to be trust throughout the team, because of the critical nature of the work. So it requires a really strong, tight-knit team, and people have to be team players. So I would say if a student, a young person is interested in computers, likes engineering, is interested in machines, maybe uh, has attention to detail, likes working on a team, likes troubleshooting, likes solving problems, then they, and I'm not saying you have to have all of that stuff, but if that sounds good and you have a few of those things, then you're probably gonna be a good fit for a data center
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I love listening to this because especially for any of our teachers that are listening or that who will listen to this through the recording, those are all soft skills, and that's something that we work on throughout North Central Washington with all of our school districts pretty much on a weekly basis, if not daily. Everything that you're calling out there, and I just did a presentation myself about soft skills, and one of the studies that I found is 75% or 79% of recruiters said that when a candidate does not work out, it's because of the soft skills. And so my last presentation, I just said, listen, you could be, if you're in the top 20%, if you've got your soft skills, you can be in the top 20%. And it's really not a hard thing, but to be aware and then to actually act on those is a really simple thing that can help you in your career. And you just call that out, it's perfect. So
Yeah, that absolutely true, Carrie. Absolutely true. And the other thing I'll add is we really look for people who, I mentioned team player, or the team a couple of times. We want people who are humble and can put the team before themselves. Because if you do that, right, and good things will come to you, right? So put the team before yourself, and also don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't know something, right? Don't be too hard-headed or think you know everything, because that will just get you in trouble.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's all soft skills.
Soft skills, yeah, and I love, especially those. I love to just call them life skills because let's be real, like what's going to make you a good team player and a good employee and a good partner is what is going to make you succeed really
Yeah.
down the road in life. So
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff. All right, well, thank you for that. So I'd like to move on, as we've got a lot of information that I want to share out, about this the data center program. So let me move on to that question. And SkillSource is really kind of taking the lead on helping to develop this program for apprentices for Sabey Data Centers. So in partnership with Quincy High School, the Data Center Prep Academy program is already in motion. So if I'm looking at my numbers right, there's 5 students already at Quincy High School who are completing year 2, and it looks like 16 are into year 1. Some of those even are some young ladies, so that's amazing. I'm trying to lift up and bring some of the gals into this program. But what can you tell us about it? I know it's not complete yet, and I know it's everything is gonna in motion. But what can you tell us about that program, and what does a win look like for Sabi with that?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a couple things there. There's the apprenticeship, which is being driven by SkillSource now. There's not currently a data center apprenticeship, and that's what we're trying to change. Some kind of common framework for accreditation to work in a data center could be interesting. So, and maybe that's in combination with the more general networking skill set. So, and then there's Quincy High School data center program, which is we're so excited about, and it's really ramping up. Yeah, it's really ramping up now, and we've already hired one graduate of that program.
Very good.
And, for a summer internship. That it was a new program we started this year, and we plan on expanding that and continuing that next year as well. So just getting get having internships, paid internships available for high school graduates.
Mhm.
And they have to be 18, unfortunately, so I can't be a junior, for summer break. But the seniors that graduate that are 18, they can get a job in a data center right away.
Yeah, that's
So
terrific.
yeah, because of that program, it's teaching them direct skills that they need to work in the data center in an entry level position.
Mm.
There's something called CompTIA, which is you may have heard of.
Yeah.
We like that. That's a great program. If they can pass the CompTIA test, then they know the basics on working on computers.
And they're actually
Really
taking the
helpful.
CompTIA classes in high school, correct?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes. I
Whereas
mean,
before it would, it's a college thing, or it's, something you do on your own typically after high school, but now they're actually doing it in high school, which is really cool.
yeah, so dual credit, and they're getting the skills, they're getting the knowledge, and then they're employable right away.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
So what kind of quantity are you looking for with that? Quincy High School is lucky, you're right here in their backyard. How many employees, how many apprentices are you looking to
Mhm.
bring?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can answer that with a specific number right now. Um, but we have so between Sabi employees and our customers employees, in terms of full-time jobs,
Mhm.
there's almost 200 in
Wow.
Quincy, just at Sabi's Quincy campus. There's
Okay.
almost 200 full-time jobs, and that's not counting any of the construction jobs.
Yeah.
That's just full-time. So most of those jobs are traditional data center technician jobs, which is working on the servers, working on computers. Probably about 60% of them. The remaining 40% are going to be more infrastructure, electrical, mechanical infrastructure, keeping the facility running. Um, but there's quite a lot, right? And that's just Sabi, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and then we have our East Wenatchee campus, which has over 150 full-time jobs. And so I understand Wenatchee High School and Eastmont are working on a similar program that Quincy has going, which would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I
And
wanted to mention that I believe they have received the program builder grant to help build that program, and I know one little plug for that. I want to make sure that everybody listening knows, program builder grant round 12 opens up here on October 16th, and if you have an interest in building a program out like that in your school or with your business, anybody who's viewing, that opens up, and I think in general those are usually $200 to $250,000, maybe a little less, but that allows you to help build out a program just like this. So yeah, so then that will give you access to students in East Wenatchee and Wenatchee, maybe even beyond for
yeah,
the Wenatchee
yeah.
campus.
So the point I want to make is that Sabi is approaching 400 full-time jobs at our two campuses here, and we're only the second largest data center operator in the region. You might
Wow.
know who the first largest data center operator is. They have more employees than we do.
Yeah.
And there's about 6 or 7 data centers, data center companies, between East Wenatchee and Quincy. So there's a lot of jobs here in the
Yeah.
and we're growing faster than ever. Really. We thought the growth during COVID, when everything shut down and people started working from home and being on Zoom more frequently and watching more Netflix, we saw an increase in demand for our services. And now that it hasn't slowed down, and
Yeah.
now the demand is being driven by AI. And you've heard of what AI is doing. Maybe you've tried ChatGPT or not, but it's much more than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so that's driving our demand right now. And so we're growing faster than ever. And so are some of our peers in the region. So there's just going to be more and more of a demand for entry level positions in data centers.
Yeah. Well, we're winding down on time, believe it or not. I always say this. I knew it was going to go so fast, but really quickly, AI I think is still very much the unknown for a lot of people. So in just a minute or so, so we can maybe get into one other question. Can you talk a little bit about AI and how I mean what you're seeing, how that's affecting your business? And how maybe the customers are whoever's listening might be utilizing that in the future.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like I said, AI runs in data centers,
Yeah.
right? So none of these digital services, that we're talking about would be possible without data centers, and AI wouldn't be possible without data centers. Um, I mean, AI requires vast amounts of compute, and all of those compute nodes have to be really close to each other, because even though, data moves at almost the speed of light in a fiber optic cable, the small distances between the computers actually makes a difference.
Okay.
It's so so AI has to be run in data centers and big clusters of computers, and it's actually more efficient as time goes on as well. So not only is the demand for AI and just data centers in general is going up, but as this technology develops, it becomes more efficient. So they're able to do more with any given amount of on a per unit basis. They can do more. They have more compute cycles, more output per say kilowatt of power consumed, right? And what we're interested, I think, mostly when it comes to AI isn't necessarily ChatGPT, although those large language models are really interesting. But it's like, what other amazing things is AI going to do for us very soon, just down the horizon? Maybe not that far away, right? Like, what is it going to do? We talk a lot about, we work a lot with hospitals, and we talked a little bit about, healthcare. What is it going to be able to do for that, right? How it has the potential to improve patient outcomes, and really be an incredible tool for doctors and healthcare providers. And then another example that I personally think is really cool is personal assistance.
Oh, yes.
Maybe we're not there quite yet, but it's going to come a day, I don't think it'll be too far off, where you're going to have just the most amazing personal assistant.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have that.
Yeah.
And I, for one, will sign up for that, as soon
Yeah.
as it's available. So,
Yeah. I
um,
appreciate your answer on this. I think that brings it home to a lot of us who, aren't as technically savvy. So thank you for kind of, breaking that down for us a little bit. But one thing I want to make sure we really only have about 3 minutes, and I can't get out of this interview without making sure that I talk about what an amazing partner you have been with Career Connected Learning. I alluded to it a little bit earlier, but everything from hosting tours for students and educators and city members, offering up job shadows, just random students who need a job shadow. In fact, I think I need to call you for one from Elmira Cooley Artline here after we're done. But so much more. In the heavy lifts, the internships and the apprenticeships, the program that we're working on. So first, I want to say thank you to that. But the next thing, I really always like to try to make this connection, because for the people who are listening, I think that's where oftentimes it kind of brings it home, and maybe they perk up. Maybe they're multitasking while they're listening to this. But can you share? I know he just left, but the QHS grad who who was working with you, that you and Sabi trained up. He's grown and flown just as of yesterday, but really he did that because of the experience that he had with you. So, and with Sabi. So can you talk a little bit about, just having him on campus and
yeah.
yeah.
Well, so yes, this is the internship that we talked about. He actually just left us, and he went to become an electrician. He got in with the union.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be an apprentice. And it's not surprising for a young person who's single, if they don't have a problem with travel or working a lot of overtime, they can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's a really high demand for union electricians.
Yes.
And so he took that route, and that's fine. But he certainly was exposed to a lot of electricians and a lot of electrical work when he worked for
Yeah,
us.
for sure.
And
Sabey put him on that path.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it helps. Yes.
we had offered him a promotion for not a permanent job, right? So going
Mhm.
from the internship to a permanent job. So
Yeah.
he was a great kid, but um, there's been a lot of examples of that, right? Where I mean, I'm just very grateful. What the community is really important to us. The
Yes.
community is everything. I I'm proud to say that we hire local. Like that's our mission, to hire local. And we've been largely successful, hugely successful at that.
I would
And
agree.
and and a lot of it's because demand has been high and demand keeps growing, and so we keep building and we keep having this opportunity, and we invest in our employees. We train them the hard skills, right? As long as they bring the soft skills, we train them in the hard skills. And there's just been tons of upward mobility opportunities that have been available. So many people are able to get promoted
Yeah.
and get great family wage jobs or great careers. So
Yeah. Well, I agree. I agree. And I see that in the community because I live here. So, Ryan, I hate to say this. We are at our time limit. We could have gone, I think, at least another half hour. But before I sign off, are there any questions from the live audience that's with us? Anybody want to pop in? I'll do that real quick um, if you have a question for us. Getting some comments.
You know me, I can't ever keep my mouth shut. Thanks so much, Ryan. I did put a little thing in the chat, thanking you, because I love the idea of, different directions or different paths that our club kids can look at, and depending on what their skills are. So thanks for the information today. I have known about data centers, but now I feel like I'm not quite expert level, maybe certification though. Thank you for the info.
great.
Love
Thank
it.
you. Well,
Yeah.
I'm happy to give tours to, Carrie. I'm always happy to do that. So
Yeah, we will definitely make sure. All you have to do is reach out to me. So, okay, I want to make sure I sign off and be respectful of everybody's time. We went a little bit over, but I think it was for a good cause today. So, Ryan, again, thank you for being one of our most valuable partners. And when I say that, I mean that, to the core, especially as a member of this community and seeing and, being fully aware of what you and Sabi are doing here. So, thank you for that. Thanks, everybody, for attending today. And we'll see you next week on MVP.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.